today is one of the worst days of the entire offseason for me. Before we get going into why that is, I want to just remind you, it's really good if you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Greenbeanjetsfan. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram, Greenbeanjetsfan. And if you want to keep tabs on my national coaster tour, you can find that at Full-Time Coaster Tour on YouTube as well. I'll be hitting a bunch of parks in the next 2 weeks. Catch all the awesome videos of me riding coasters there. So why is it the worst day of the off-season for me? What could it be? It's comp pick day. And anyone who's watched any of my videos knows I talk about comp picks all the time. And by comp picks, what I mean is compensatory picks. The 32 extra picks that the NFL gives out every year, we never seem to get them. The last comp pick that the Jets received was 2015, when we lost Demario Davis, Chris Ivory, and Snacks Harrison. That batch, we got a third-round pick, 107th overall that year, and we haven't seen a comp pick since. The reason that it is, and I'll break this down for you a little bit, is the way that the comp pick equation goes. It's really simple. It was developed to help teams out that were losing a lot of their good players to stay relevant. The NFL wanted to help mitigate some of that vacuum. There were teams losing a whole batch of free agents, and they would go from a competitive team to in the toilet seemingly overnight. So the NFL created this system. If you lost more free agents than you signed in the offseason, then they would help by giving you a comp pick having to do with how good the player is that you lost versus how good the player is that you brought in. So what I mean by good? Good, there's a little formula that they developed. So it has to do with the salary that the players get signed at, if they make any Pro Bowl selections or things like that. So basically how relevant the player was to the team, because it has to be of equal or greater value when you're getting a comp pick. So basically what it's been for the Jets over the years is we sign more free agents than we lose. And in addition to that, the free agents that we sign get mega contracts, and the guys that we lose barely get signed for anything. So last year is a really good example. So last year we lost Robbie Anderson, Brandon Shell, Tom Compton, and Brent Cavalli. So we lost 3 offensive linemen and our best receiver at the time. Now on the other side of that, we signed Connor McGovern, we signed George Fant, we signed Brashad Perryman, we signed Van Roten, and Josh Andrews. So we signed 1 more than we lost. But the 4 that we signed 5 and lost 4, but the first 4 wash out the other guys. Okay, so we don't qualify for any comp picks. And it's the worst. Every year we see this. So it would have really been nice to, when you lose a receiver like Robbie Anderson, for example, to be able to get even a 4th-round pick or something. He signed a 2-year, $20 million contract with $12 million guaranteed in the first year. So it would have been really nice. He had a good season. He made $12 million last year. That is a qualifying free agent. And it would have been really nice if we didn't sign, let's say, Josh Andrews and Van Roten. If we didn't sign those 2 guys, we would have had 3 coming in, 4 going out, and Robbie Anderson would have gotten us probably maybe even a 3rd-round pick. And how great would that be? We get all excited about we have 2/3 and everything, but for comparison, the top compensatory pick, which goes to the New England Patriots this year, yay! That's pick 96. So our 2nd, 3rd-round pick is 86. The Patriots have the first comp pick, which is 96. Only 10 picks later, and it's free. These are free picks, guys, and that's the thing I want to really drive home. The feast that we like to splurge on in free agency every year. I mean, look at us the way we're talking right now. We want to sign Joe Thuney. We want to sign Lindsley. We want to sign Allen Robinson and Curtis Samuel. We want to get the running backs. We want to get everybody. We want to sign linebackers. When you live that way, number one, you just can't sustain paying all these guys high contracts like that. It doesn't work, okay? Number two, you're ruining your ability to get comp picks, okay? Now, I'm going to point something out. I'm going to use the team that got the highest amount of comp picks this year, which is 4. It just so happens to be that that's the limit that you can get any year, no matter how you slice it. That's the limit for any team. That's the maximum compensatory picks that they can get any year, okay? So even if you lose 12 players that all qualify, the max you can get is 4. The good news with that is they'll take the best 4, the ones that qualify to the highest picks, so that's good news, but you'll only get 4. And only one team was able to put that together this year. So that's the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are getting 4 picks. Now let's take a look at the players they lost. And it's going to get interesting. So the first guy they lost was Randall Cobb. They signed him for 1 season. 1 season. He came over to Dallas. They signed him for 1 year, and they let him go to the Texans. He signed a 3-year, $27 million contract with the Texans. Cobb. He was in his 10th season. So he has 10 years in the NFL, and the Texans give him 3 years, $27 million. And guess what? He had a down year. Imagine that. Imagine that. The next guy is Malik Collins, the defensive tackle. Now, Malik Collins is interesting. He signed a 1-year, $6 million contract with the Raiders. Keep that in your head, the Raiders. So his average every year was 4 sacks, about 21 tackles, 5 quarterback hits. So he's kind of a rotational guy. He's solid. Guess what the Raiders got from him last year? They got 0 sacks. 0 sacks, 15 tackles, no quarterback hits. Not bad. Not bad for paying somebody $6 million. But the interesting thing is that Dallas had him for the whole first chunk of his career, and they allowed him to go when he was going to get a bigger payday. You see how this goes? So Dallas let him walk. Somebody else gets him, and it just so happens he has a down year. This happens all the time. The next guy is Jeff Heath, the safety. He signed a 2-year, $6 million contract with the Raiders. Raiders snatching up the free agents. Oh, Gruden's hungry in free agency. So it just so happens that Heath had his worst year since 2016 statistically. He did have 3 picks, so you can give him that, but everything else, he was down significantly. So the Raiders paid him 2 years, $6 million. Not that much, considering, but still, they got bupkis for him. The next guy is Byron Jones. We all know about Byron Jones. He was one of the premium free agents last year. He went to the Miami Dolphins. They made him the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. He signed a 5-year, $82.5 million contract. And guess what? He had his worst season as a pro statistically. Worst season. In every category, he had his worst season as a pro. So you look, Dallas, they got this guy. He's going to be the highest paid cornerback in the league. Are they supposed to pay him? You know, there were thousands and thousands of Cowboys fans hoping they'd pay him. There were thousands of Jets fans hoping we'd pay him. But Dallas, what they did, when it was time for him to get his payday, they let him walk, and it just so happens he got his payday, but he had his worst year statistically. This happens all the time when big-name free agents, or even just free agents, not even necessarily big name, they go get their big contract, they go to a new team, new environment, everything changes, and they don't have the same production. Okay? It happened with the premium free agent, the best, highest paid cornerback in the league. Worst year statistically. Another one is Robert Quinn, the linebacker. So he got a 5-year, $70 million contract with the Bears. 5 years, $70 million. He was going into his 9th season in the league. Guess what they got for paying him 5 years, $70 million? 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. You think that's worth it? Again, Dallas, let him go. And when it's time to get your big payday, they let him walk. They had somebody being groomed, filled in, and he went somewhere else. Same story. He got his money, and I'm not saying that they're getting their money and they're taking the season off. That does happen, but I'm not even saying that's what's going on. there are lots of variables that go into why these guys, like, it doesn't work out, okay, for the free agent, the big name free agents that go elsewhere. Okay, here we got another one. Jason Witten. They'd signed Jason Witten out of retirement, the Cowboys, right? He was retired. He was doing TV, NFL TV, whatever he was doing, commentating. And he comes back to Dallas. He signs for 1 year, and they let him walk. So they had Witten for 1 more year. They let him walk. Guess where he went? He went to the Raiders. They gave him a 1 year, $4 million contract. He gave the Raiders 13 receptions for 69 yards, $4 million, and Dallas gets a comp pick for him. Not too shabby. What about the guard? Xavier Suo-Filo, right? Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He went to Cincinnati, got a 3 years, $9 million contract. He started 5 games for them last year. The wacky thing with him is he only started 8 and 4 in the last 2 years before that anyway. 8 games 2018 and 4 games 2019. So they kind of knew what they were getting. But again, Dallas let him walk. This guy's never on the field. They let him walk. The Bengals snatch him up. Dallas gets a comp pick. You see how this goes? So they got 4 comp picks, and I'll tell you exactly where they are too. Watch this. Dallas got pick 99 in the 3rd round. They got the first comp pick in the 4th round, pick 138. They got pick 178 in the 5th round, and they got pick 226 in the 6th round. That's not too bad, is it, man? They got a pick in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th round for letting guys walk that wanted their big payday, and that either their production wasn't wasn't going to be what it was, or what it has been, and they didn't want to pay him the money. That's smart roster management, okay? The Jets never do that. Number one, we draft terribly, right? So we don't even have guys that can fill spots. Our 1st, 2nd, 3rd rounders can't even be pipeline guys. That's how bad they've been for us over the years. Every now and then a 1st rounder will hit for us, but it's been abysmal for us. 3rd round receivers, not out of the league in 2 years, that kind of stuff. So we're forced to spend money in free agency. The guy's coming over, a la CJ Mosley. We give him $17 million a year, lock him up for 5 years with, $80 million, $50 million guaranteed and all that stuff. The guy gets hurt, doesn't play for 2 years, and guess what happened over in Baltimore? You want to take a guess what they got? They got a 3rd round pick for him. That's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes. So that brings us to some specifics about the Jets. Now, the Jets happen to have 24 free agents this year. 24 unrestricted free agents, 25 if you include Henry Anderson, but you shouldn't because he's not going to count on our comp pick equation. Now, not every one of those 24 picks are going to count to the comp pick equation. Okay, to the formula. Not all of them are, but here's the ones that can. And this is going to help you understand why Joe Douglas might be allowing some guys to leave that we don't want to leave. So here's the guys that more than likely are going to qualify. Jordan Jenkins, Brian Poole, Brashad Perryman, Bradley McDougald, Patrick Onwuasor, Joe Flacco, Frank Gore. If those 2 guys don't retire, they will get signed. Daniel Brown, Terrell Basham, and then you get into the maybes, Frankie Louvu, and an interesting one we just heard in an article today, Harvey Lange. The guy's been building his career. Last year, he made a name for himself. Joe Douglas can sign him. I've made a video saying I want him to be re-signed. I love him. I love that guy running around. But if he's going to want $5 million a year, $6 million a year, let him walk and get the comp pick. Let him factor into your comp pick equation. It's Harvey Lange. And this even goes to a guy like maybe Neville Hewitt. And I'll tell you why this is the year to flip this and use the scenario for this year to start flipping the comp pick situation. It just so happens that more players are going to be cut this year than have been cut probably in I don't know if NFL history. Okay, I don't know if that's a fact or whatever, but I'm just saying it's a damn good year for players who are cut. Players who are cut or released or what have you, they don't count against your comp pick equation if you sign them as free agents. So if Joe Douglas is smart, When you look at guys like Brian Poole, he's one of the better nickel corners in the league. He is. He's one of the better. He's in that conversation. Why would you let him go? Well, because it just so happens that guys are getting cut all over the place. I can let him go this year. He's going to want his payday. More than likely, he's going to want his payday. He didn't get it last year. He's going to want it this year. So let's say he gets it. He gets $8 million. He gets $7 million, $9 million, whatever it is. And we replace him with the guy who was released. We're one up. We're +1 in the comp pick equation. So this is the exact year to try to get this part of your system going. Because guys, let me tell you, the teams that use the comp pick formula correctly, they're the better teams in the league. Let me tell you who's getting 17 teams got picks this year. Let me tell you just some of the teams that are getting comp picks. Obviously, like I said, I mentioned the Dallas Cowboys, the Patriots, remember that? The Chargers, the Saints, the Titans, the Rams, the 49ers, okay? The Saints got 2/3. So do the Rams. Ooh, they got 2/3, man. 2 free third-round picks. Look at all the work we had to do to get 2/3. They got 2 free. And just for nothing. That's what free means. The Pittsburgh Steelers, you ever heard of them? Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, Kansas City Chiefs, the Falcons, the Ravens, the Bucks. Those are the only teams. I didn't hear the Cardinals. I didn't hear the Jets. I didn't hear the Dolphins. I didn't hear the Browns, the Jaguars. You want to know why? Because they suck and because the teams don't know how to manage the roster. They don't know how to manage the roster, and they're buyers in free agency. They don't have the players to leave, and they overconsume in free agency, and that blows the whole deal. It's the worst day of the year, of the offseason. I hate it every year because I know it. We're not getting anybody, and it bothers the hell out of me. This is the kind of things I require Joe Douglas to do. You guys know I'm a Joe Douglas fan. I'm an adamant supporter of Joe Douglas. Don't like everything he's done, all right? I'm not afraid to say things I don't like as well. But I like the man overall and his philosophy and the techniques he's using to rebuild the team after a beautiful teardown. And how he got rid of Gase and won he destroyed that damn reporting structure we had. But this is something I require. Joe Douglas, if you ever hear this, if this makes it to your ears, we require the comp pick equation to be flipped. There is no reason why we shouldn't be the recipients of free picks every year. It's an absolute advantage. Let's say we got 4 picks like the Dallas Cowboys. That's, what is that, 12 picks? 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13 picks, dude. Just like that. Let these guys walk. Let them walk. We're going to have more cut and released free agents in the history of the game. Pluck from those piles. It's okay to sign a couple unrestricted free agents. You can sign Joe Thuney. That's fine. You can sign Curtis Samuel. That's fine. But you better be getting the rest from the released pile. There's plenty of them. Hey, man, if Joe Thuney wants $18 million a year, go and get Kevin Zeitler. I'm going to just tell you, Joe Thuney's PFF grade is 74.2. Kevin Zeitler's 65.9. Joe Thuney gave up only 2 sacks last year. Guess how many Zeitler gave up? 2. Guess how many penalties Joe Thuney had? 3. Guess how many penalties Zeitler had? 4. Dude, they're in the same conversation. Joe Thuney's younger. Joe Thuney's a better player. He's better. But it's not, we're not talking about a huge gap, man. We're not talking about Alex Lewis here. If you can get Zeitler for $10 million, he's on the cut pile, and Joe Thuney wants 19, go and get Zeitler. That's the way we got to do this. Okay, now that said, I want Joe Thuney too. I do. But you can't be stupid. Anyway, I hope that helped you guys to understand the comp pick equation. This is a long one, man. But I had to give it to you. I had to help you, help you understand how important this is. It's important that we get it in our ether as Jets fans. It must be out there. We must know these things. If we don't even know that this is slipping by, and we don't know to make an uproar about this, we deserve these damn picks. Why aren't we getting free third-round picks? Why did we sign Josh Andrews last year when we could have got a third-round pick for Robbie Anderson? Cut the shit. I understand. Last year, your first year, I get it. I get it, man. I'm not chopping your head off. It's time. This is the year to work on flipping this. Next year, we'd better get 1-2 comp picks. That's what we need to do. It's the way to do it. Look at that list of teams I just read. Those weren't the dregs. Those were the upper echelon of the NFL. That's who's getting comp picks because they know it's invaluable. That's it, everybody. I hope you're having a good night. I got myself all pumped up. It's like midnight. What am I doing? I'm all amped up. Been driving all day. I was literally falling asleep 20 minutes ago. Now I want to break shit. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Please don't forget to subscribe and go to Jetnation.com. Get in the conversation over there as well. It's crazy over there right now, man. If you want to talk Jets, no place better to do it. Please subscribe, Green Bean Jets Fan Full-Time Coaster Tour, and I'll see you next time.